Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of The Boys, Gen V Episode 7, an episode titled Sick, which sees the return of our favorite boys head popper, Victoria Neuman, and answers a couple questions while raising even more, like who was on the other end of Grace Mallory's phone call? With the news that Gen V has been renewed for Season 2, we are taking a look at all the Easter eggs, the details, the links to the larger Boys universe, and I'm gonna make some guesses on whether or not that crazy scene was actually happening in everyone's head. Also, thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring this video. Gen V is great, and one of the things we've enjoyed about covering the show here on New Rockstars is how much extra content from the world of Gen V is available online, particularly if you're using Opera GX. Opera GX is a super customizable browser with roughly a bazillion mods that you can install to customize your experience or make your own. We went with the Gen V mod, which includes everything from wallpaper to background music, keyboard sounds, and even sound effects for closing tabs. Opera GX also gives you exclusive access to VOT International social media site dedicated to the world of the boys, letting you follow your favorite soups from Gen V, and it's built right into the sidebar, which is super easy to customize with whatever other social media sites you want to visit. It's accessible on the sidebar on the left, where you can also find all other social media, including Discord, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and WhatsApp, one click away. And look, we know switching to a new browser can be a pain, but Opera GX has an import tool that makes it super easy to import your history, bookmarks, and cookies from pretty much any browser you might need. To get exclusive Gen V content from your new favorite browser, use the link in the description below to download Opera GX today. We open in the woods with two guards throwing a soup into a cell and locking him in with some others. One of them terrifyingly tells him try not to breathe, and we see the disgusting reason why. Dr. Cardosa succeeded in making the virus contagious, and poor Andy is his first coughing, oozing guinea pig. As the soup pounds on the glass and begs to be let out, Cardosa tells Shetty that the virus spreads through direct contact with the bodily fluids, which isn't good enough for Shetty. She wants it to be airborne so it'll be even more contagious. For the first time, Cardosa hesitates. Like, dude, you've been experimenting on kids for years now and just killed Betsy last episode, and now you might need to take a beat to reevaluate. He threatens to tell Vought what they've been doing, which confirms that this whole thing has been Shetty going rogue. While Vought likely knows the woods exist and that soups are being experimented on, like they were at Sage Grove, there is no way they'd want a plague unleashed that could kill all the soups and essentially put them out of business. Like a stern mother scolding a child, Shetty addresses Cardosa by his first name.
It's a little late in the day to worry about what Vought wants, Edison.
Interesting that he shares a name with Thomas Edison, who used teams of researchers and scientists to come up with his inventions, but largely took sole credit for them. Maybe this is a hint that there were other people involved with the creation of the virus, and that it's still a threat even if Cardosa is eliminated. Okay, so big spoiler warning here if you haven't read the comics and plan to, because I'm about to tell you how they end. Skip to this time if you don't want to know. With the help of Dr. Vogelbaum, who we saw in The Boys, he was the one who basically created Homelander and raised him in a lab, Butcher develops an airborne Compound V tech bomb. It uses missiles to target soups, and only soups, and would activate a substance in their brains, causing their heads to explode, taking all soups out at once. Long story short, Huey finds out and stops Butcher before this happens. Gen V and The Boys show creator Erik Kripke has said that these shows won't end like the comics, but this virus might be their way of touching on that plotline, and I think this episode we get a little Butcher cameo that proves that he now knows of its existence. Shetty threatens Cardosa with mutually assured destruction. I mean, he's just as culpable as she is for all of this. And then she gets a call from Cate, who hasn't been taking her meds, and she can now fully hear everyone's thoughts. She's like a deadly Suki Stackhouse from True Blood. Shetty calls Cate sweetheart and asks her if she's taken her medication today. Always manipulating that one. Cate lies and says yes because she doesn't want her to know what they've all been up to. As she walks through the diner, we see VOT News Network's Cameron Coleman on TV. He's also the host of 7 on 7, and we saw him a lot in season 3 of The Boys, and on the VOT International YouTube channel. He's a right-wing pundit who pulls his usual fear-mongering here, broadcasting live from God U.
Campus police expect mass protests leading up to today's town hall with the historically unpopular and phony socialist scammer herself, vice presidential candidate Victoria Neuman.
Coleman goes on to say that Neuman has had campaign donations from George Soros, whose name has become a total dog whistle in the real world for Fox News hosts. Underneath the TV, there are a bunch of 7 Funko Pops of Homelander, Black Noir, and Starlight in both her original outfit and her redesign. There's also a Homelander action figure and a bunch of American flags adorning the diner walls. Cate tells the group that Shetty will be in the city all day, so she'll go to her house and wait for her, and then push her to tell them the truth. They still don't trust her though, so Andre decides to go with Cate to keep her in check. Marie and Jordan walk in front of a wall covered in posters, an ad for Henderson Brewing Company with a train that says, "You have to be fast to catch the food truck before it's gone." Henderson is a real Canadian brewing company, and they have a blonde lager called Food Truck. There's also posters for VOT headphones that are a ripoff of an iPod ad, various Singer Neuman political signs. These are covered in graffiti, some calling Neuman a cop, various spray-painted penises, and then Supe Lives Matter, a phrase that we first heard from Blue Hawk in The Boys Season 3 when he was trying to apologize to the black community. And on the far right, there's an ad for Speeding Bullet Ale, which is A-Train's beer. There isn't a product that this guy won't slap his name on. Marie and Jordan decide to use Jordan's TA key card to look around Shetty's office while she's in the city. Their plan is to get proof about the woods and deliver it to Victoria Neuman while she's on campus for the town hall. In her dorm room, Emma tells Sam that she's gonna take his clothes to a Supe with pyro powers to burn them all and the evidence of his puppet massacre. She's also gonna grab him some Vata burger while she's out. He discovers her sex toy drawer, which includes a Starlight vibrator. We first saw this in season 3 of The Boys when Kimiko killed a bunch of Russians. She actually threw it at a guy and lodged it in his neck, killing him. It was awesome. Emma wears a gummy bear necklace that we've seen her wear in previous episodes. Gummy bears are small, sweet versions of real bears, just like Emma is sweet and can get small. But also, I do hope that we get to see big Emma at least one more time this season. She makes Sam promise that he'll stay in her room and talk to no one until she gets back.
Do not answer the door, no matter what. Stranger danger.
Stranger danger.
Stranger danger.
Stranger danger was a phrase popularized in the 60s in the United States and England to warn about the uptick in crimes against kids, and it's gone through several iterations, but it's still in use today. But what's interesting about stranger danger is it's actually not the best thing to tell kids, because it makes kids only fear strangers when statistically most crimes against children are committed by someone known to them. And in this case, I think Sam is really the danger to strangers, considering what he did to those guys in episode 5. Marie and Jordan search Shetty's desk files, and we see one labeled Student Records GI, and then a form labeled Incident Report. Jordan tries unsuccessfully to get into Shetty's computer, and I like the realism for once that they didn't just try a couple of combinations for her password and then magically guess correctly. But Marie finds a file on Transoceanic Flight 37. That was a flight in season 1 of The Boys that was hijacked by terrorists. Homelander and Maeve tried to intervene, but things went south when Homelander inadvertently destroyed the plane's controls and convinced Maeve to just let the plane crash since he wasn't strong enough to save everyone and didn't want any survivors to talk about what happened. All 123 people on board were killed. The public story behind the crash is that terrorists took the plane down before Homelander and Maeve got there, but Maeve had video proof of what exactly went down and used it to blackmail Homelander into leaving her and Starlight and a few others alone. The newspaper here has the headline, some word that ends in YING, for the missing of Flight 037, then some word, then leaders come together. Then a photo of wreckage in the water next to a photo of a man that I assume was one of the ones on that plane. The next article headline reads, Flight goes down in the Atlantic, 123 on board, 120 of those were passengers, 3 were the hijackers. Underneath the headline is Transoceanic Flight 037 ceased contact mid-flight and then disappeared from radar. In the folder, there's also an aerial shot of the region where the plane went down, some photos of the wreckage, and a passenger manifest listing Lily Shetty, age 11, and Paul Shetty, age 46. So our guess last week about Shetty's daughter dying in a Supe-related incident was correct, and we're not really celebrating it. She confirms later in the episode that Paul is her husband. We also see the name Jessica Stein listed, and that's actually the name of first assistant art director on the show. The classified photo labeled Government Exhibit shows that Homelander hit the controls with his I-beams. It's not totally clear where Shetty got this file or this information. Someone may have fed it to her, or maybe she just sensed that something was off about the official story and dug it up herself. Marie and Jordan are interrupted by drunk Cardosa, who rambles to himself about the virus while they hide under the desk. He also pees in Shetty's expensive booze bottle, which, you know, Chekhov's pee. Can't wait for that to get drunk by someone down the line. He drops a folder on Shetty's desk, and we don't get to see what's in it. Another mystery. We see Vought Tower on the city skyline near the Empire State Building. Even though it's set in Manhattan, both The Boys and Gen V shoot in Canada, so that tower is actually based on Roy Thompson Hall in Toronto. They added some CG bits to make it look like a skyscraper. Shetty meets up with, hey, Grace Mallory from The Boys. She was last seen in season 3 of that show, putting a knocked out soldier boy back in captivity with the CIA. Shetty overplays her hand here. She assumed that Mallory would be on her side in this, given the fact that her grandkids were murdered by Lamplighter, but Mallory points out that killing all Supes would be genocide and a war crime, and invokes Billy Butcher to try to convince her that this is futile.
A man who works for me, one of your fellow countrymen, although I doubt you travel in the same circles, has this same rage. It's so consumed him that there's nothing left. Trust me, you don't want to go down that path.
And speaking of Butcher, after Shetty leaves looking concerned, Mallory asks someone on the phone if they heard what just went down and then tells them to keep a close eye on her. I think she's talking to Butcher here. He's the exact person she'd entrust something like this to, and making a dig at him while he's listening in is very on brand for her. Like she would use this as a teaching moment for him. I think that in the final episode, we could even get a small Butcher cameo of him watching Shetty or entering the woods or something. Sam entertains himself in Emma's room while she's gone, smelling her perfume, bonding with her gerbil, David Caruso, and even looking through her underwear drawer, which hilariously has different sizes of underwear for when she shrinks down. Doesn't have any huge ones though, since she almost never goes big. Sam hears a noise in the hallway and runs out to investigate. He finds a Supe with ice powers who made a luge, and for once, Sam gets to just be a normal college kid. He goes for a sled down the hallway, he drinks a beer, and he lets himself get radicalized by Rufus. The song we hear playing during these shenanigans is Alex Leahy's Spike the Punch. Rufus convinces Sam to come to a party, which turns out to be Victoria Neuman's town hall. And Rufus is wearing that red hat that says keep America safe, and you know from that he's there to start some crap. Speaking of starting some crap, Cameron Coleman interviews Polarity, who's supposed to moderate the town hall later, and we learn that Andre hasn't spoken to his dad since he found out that he knew about the woods and did nothing to stop what was happening. And then we get this freaky moment.
And it's a good thing that someone as versatile and trustworthy as you has stepped up to ask the tough questions that superheroes and real Americans care about.
Notice that right after Polarity first twitches, you can hear the metal around them in the studio rattling. Then, as he has a full-on seizure, everything metal in the studio starts crashing and moving around. This reminds me of Professor X and Logan when he was suffering from dementia that was causing him to have uncontrolled telepathic seizures that destroyed a lot of people. As the camera falls over, we get a VOT News Network Please Stand By card on screen before it goes to a commercial for VOT Pharmaceutical Brand Catheters, a classic commercial for 24/7 news networks. Andre takes off to find his dad, leaving Cate alone at Shetty's house. Emma returns to find the hallway wet from the melted ice luge, and Sam is gone, which is a problem considering he hasn't been free and around people in probably like 10 years or something. She knocks on Maverick's door to see if he's seen Sam, and Maverick and the alpaca Sloan are into some kinky sex stuff again. Seriously, I need a spin-off about the two of them, and I need to know what Sloan's deal is. Is she a Supe who turns into an alpaca some of the time? Is she an alpaca all the time? I need answers. In the ambulance, Polarity seizes again, causing the walls to start caving in. This is such a cool sequence as Andre tries to balance out what his dad is doing using his own powers, and the poor EMT just keeps getting hit by all kinds of stuff flying around. The ambulance is actually a global wellness services vehicle, so they're probably taking Polarity directly to VOT Tower because honestly, a normal hospital will probably have no clue what to do with them. Pro and anti-Victoria Neuman protesters convene on the quad, holding signs that say things like, coexist, stop the super hate, Supes for Singer. Inside the town hall, Coleman has taken over moderating duties for Polarity, and he grills Neuman on her stance on Supe rights and the murder Homelander committed at the end of The Boys Season 3. So remember, Neuman herself is a Supe, but only a handful of people know that because she was adopted by Stan Edgar from Red River after her powers manifested and she killed her parents accidentally. Edgar planted her in the government and kept their relationship secret so that he could use her for VOT's plan. She betrayed him and got him ousted as VOT CEO, so as half the crowd of Supe students turns on her and Coleman accuses her of persecuting Supes, who he refers to as a minority population, she remains cool as a cucumber, always in control. Outside, Jordan causes a distraction so that Marie can get close to Neuman. They do this by sucker punching Justine, who totally deserves it after what she did to Emma earlier this season, spilling her secrets for influencer clout. Justine's jaw dislocates and then immediately sets back into place, which is the first time we see her use her powers. A brawl breaks out and Justine's friend with tail films Jordan, who she says is attacking her own kind. Security goes over to break it up, and I hope these guys use more than just nightsticks because otherwise they're gonna be in some trouble. Inside the town hall, the Q&A portion of the event devolves into a frenzy. We see some more signs in the audience, one that reads Heroes United, another that echoes earlier graffiti we saw outside saying Neuman is a cop, and since Neuman is a vice presidential candidate, it kind of echoes some of the protesters against Kamala Harris, pointing out her prosecutor past, because despite her liberal record, she did put people in jail, because that's what a prosecutor's job is. And there's another sign that reads, Supers keep you safe, another sign that reads, human silence equals violence. Rufus shouts out that humans aren't their peers, and the Supe with the ice power shouts, Supe lives matter. Coleman presses Neuman to state whether Supes have human rights, which she says they do, but then the Supe girl from the hallway earlier lights up her eyes, Homelander style, like she wants to laser slice Neuman in half. And then things get a little too real when this happens.
You will not control us! You will not control us!
I'm gonna guess that Rufus is gonna stop off at the local Walmart or Pier 1 after this to pick up some polo shirts and tiki torches. Coleman is enjoying the chaos since he knows it's gonna be good for ratings. One audience member puts a hand on this woman's shoulder and she banshee shouts at him, blasting him back. Then a guy wearing a Homelander shirt uses laser vision to slice the flag in half, and that's when security ushers Neuman off stage where Marie is waiting for her. Neuman agrees to go somewhere so they can speak in private. Outside, Emma and Jordan find Sam, who's sad to leave his new Supe supremacist buddies behind. Seriously, dude, you've been out of the woods and among people for 5 minutes and you immediately fall in with the wrong crowd? What would television's Jason Ritter think? Shetty returns home to find Cate, who she calls darling, again using these familiar, comfortable terms of endearment like a mother might use with her daughter, but Cate is spoiling for a fight and doesn't let her get away with it this time. Cate says that the meds Shetty had her on weren't helping her, they were just clouding her. The Cate we've seen all season has been pretty damn powerful, so I can only imagine how strong she's gonna be once the meds are fully out of her system. Shetty tells Cate that it's almost time to leave this place, and this whole exchange has such a strange, surreal feel to it. She says that both she and Cate are leaving because she loves her like a daughter and she wants to keep her safe. Unlike earlier when we heard what Cate was hearing when she read people's thoughts, we don't hear Shetty's thoughts here, so we have no idea who's playing who.
Somehow I feel like you are truly mine, and I love you.
You're telling the truth.
Notice the look of relief on Shetty's face. She tells Cate she just needs her to do one last push for her and then she'll never be alone again. Cate lays her head on her lap like a little girl and Shetty again looks overcome with relief, but I have a theory about this whole exchange a little later. Then we get a huge reveal. Not only is Victoria Neuman Marie's benefactor, she has the same exact blood control powers that Marie does. So far we've only seen Neuman pop heads or other body parts, but it wasn't clear how she was doing it. So when she slices her palm and controls the blood that comes out, it's super interesting. It means that at some point down the line, Marie will be able to do what Neuman does. Neuman also teaches Marie how to see the V in her bloodstream, and remember, I theorized that Marie might actually be able to depower a soup by locating the V and burning it out of their blood. That means that Neuman can identify other soups. We get this little tongue-in-cheek nod about what Neuman can do.
You know what? We'll hide out in the green room until it all blows over out there. Otherwise, I think they might take off my head.
Take off my head. In a green room, there are Dawn of the Seven posters with Queen Maeve and A-Train, both of course alumni of Godolkin University, another Whiskey Sunrise poster, and a translucent poster for a translucent Invisible Force 2 with the tagline, "You can't kill what you can't see." You totally can. I mean, did we forget season 1? The two women bond over the meals they were served during their time at Red River, where they both grew up, and Marie entrusts Neuman with the information about the woods and the virus. Neuman seems unconcerned and says she'll handle it, and we know what that means. She also gives Marie this two-path speech and seals it by invoking her sister's name.
Marie Moreau, Guardian of Godolkin, is marketing, okay? Not the first black woman in the Seven. She has real power. Maybe she can even find Annabeth.
Marie has to choose whether she wants to play by the Vought rules or keep digging into things in an attempt to try to be the real hero. Andre, Emma, Jordan, and Marie all get texts from Cate telling them to come to Shetty's. Andre ignores it, opting to stay at his dad's bedside at Vought Tower, but the rest of the gang, plus Sam, do what Cate asks, and they arrive to find that Cate has seemingly stuck with their original plan and pushed Shetty to reveal the truth to all of them. Shetty gives us a ton of information here, each a bit more fascinating than the last. Godolkin is a front. Thomas Godolkin was a behavioral scientist who built it not so soups could go there to study, but so that they could study soups, to find out their weaknesses, what makes them tick, and how to control them.
You're subjects, not human.
We're better than humans.
Damn it, Sam, I am not liking this heel turn. We thought we knew you, buddy. I was just hoping Emma would finally find a nice boyfriend. Now, in the comics, Godolkin has a super dark storyline that involves kids and, well, talk about stranger danger. We saw a portrait earlier in Dean Shetty's office that might have been Thomas Godolkin, but it's never identified. Shetty tells them that she wants the virus to kill all soups because Homelander took down the plane that her family was on. She says that they all leave a path of destruction behind them, and honestly, she ain't wrong. Her last assignment for Cate was to kill everyone in the woods. Cate didn't do it, but she also has an interesting turn here. She says that they all want to wipe them off the face of the earth, and so they have to strike first, starting with Shetty. It kind of seems like both Cate and Sam have been radicalized. Cate tells Shetty that it's time, and Shetty slits her own throat. Cate also pushes Marie not to help heal her with her blood powers. Marie has several flashbacks to her own mother dying in a remarkably similar way to Shetty, and Cate tells her that she's so sorry that she has to relive this as Shetty bleeds to death on the floor. We cut to Cardosa handing off the virus to Neuman, and he definitely thinks he's the good guy in this scenario as opposed to the monster who's been killing kids. He uses the term compassionate control when it comes to the soups, and again, I just love that he has no idea that he is saying this to a soup. Neuman hands him a business card and tells him that he and his family will be safe and witness protection, and we get this amazing moment where as Neuman walks away, Cardosa looks down at the card and sees that it is blank, for his nose starts bleeding and his head is popped like a grape. R.I.P. dude, you kind of deserve this. Neuman flicks knocks a bit of Cardosa off her hand and then drives away, and we end on the yeah yeahs, heads will roll, playing over the credits. So a couple major questions here. What is Neuman going to do with the virus now that she has it? The smartest thing for her to do would be to destroy it, especially since we saw her giving Compound V to her daughter on the boys, which means any virus could potentially kill her as well. But knowing Neuman and knowing that she was raised by Stan Edgar, who always has a contingency plan, I think she's gonna keep it just in case. It's not airborne yet, so she could potentially use a version against Homelander if he ever decides to come after her. I also have to wonder what was in that folder that Cardosa left on Shetty's desk. If it was information about the virus, like how to create it, then it's definitely gonna be a dangling thread that could come back later. The biggest question I have though is, was that whole scene with Cate and the gang real? Okay, so hear me out. Cate had such an abrupt change from her scene right before that, with her head on Shetty's lap, saying that she believes that she loves her, to one scene later yelling at her to shut up and ordering her to kill herself. I think that the last push Shetty was talking about wasn't to kill everyone in the woods, because let's face it, she doesn't need Cate to do that. She could just have the guards do it instead. I think the last push was to show her friends this bit of theater so that Shetty could fake her death and escape. Cate is more powerful now that the drugs are wearing off, so she might not even need to physically touch people to control them anymore, which could explain how she can make them see this vision. Remember that she told Marie, I'm sorry you have to relive this, because she knew Marie was thinking about her mother, who died in the same position the same way Cate made her think Shetty did. Shetty miscalculated when she went to Grace Mallory in the CIA. She thought they'd side with her to give her protection, but that's not how it played out. She knows that once Vought finds out that she created a virus that kills Supes, they're gonna send a whole bunch of Supes after her to kill her. So her only shot at getting out of this mess would be that if everyone thinks she's dead. So I think in the season finale, something is gonna go down on campus that causes a code red. We're gonna see those dorm room bars locked down as all hell breaks loose, with the Supes fighting one another, and that in that chaos, just like Jordan caused a distraction earlier, Shetty's gonna slip away. Since Andre wasn't there to witness all this, I think he's gonna say something that causes the others to realize that something is off and that Cate pushed them one last time, but I think she's also gonna be gone by then. I think the finale will end with a big cameo for Homelander called in to clean up the mess on campus, and that season 2 will start up with Vought taking control of and reopening the school, because, you know, they're great at rebranding things. Let me know in the comments below if you think this theory about Cate really did help Shetty fake her death, or if she really did just force Shetty to kill herself. Please subscribe to all 3 channels on the New Rockstars network and support us by grabbing some merch at nerdriot.shop. Big thanks to Gina Ippolito for writing this breakdown. Follow me at EA Voss, follow New Rockstars, and subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching, bye.